Hey guys, what's up? This is Shamos. Something strange happened earlier today. I was sitting at the computer and I was doing some studies on the early church fathers, the ante-Nicene fathers, and I was trying to basically compile a list with dating and things that they had done and known works and stuff like that, and valuable quotes to historical criticism. And then I was listening to Nadia's room, and there was a discussion with CK, Jack, and Art, and CK had basically made the claim that the only reason religion is basically around is because it serves the interest of the ruling class, and if it didn't serve the interest of the ruling class, it would be suppressed. Well, like, I jumped out of my seat because anyone that's familiar with early Christianity before Constantine would know that it was heavily, heavily persecuted, and they tried to stamp it out for a long time, and it was going against the ruling class. So Christianity never really enjoyed those luxuries until after Constantine. So I just jumped out of my seat. I tried to get in the room as quick as possible. When I get in the room as quick as possible, I started addressing the claims that CK made. And what happened is they had a very, very, very short memory, and they started getting heavily inconsistent. And I thought it was so strange how inconsistent they were, because the claims they made were no more than 15 minutes before that. So I made a video, and I wanted to highlight the just utter lack of memory and inconsistency. So I'm gonna go ahead and play some of this. Also, this is going to be the whole entire exchange from the beginning of Art, and then you'll see the two claims CK made back to back, and then you'll see the whole exchange with me, and then I'll break down some of the inconsistencies. Okay, so this is the claim that CK made to Art.
What does a class system or a monetary system or private ownership has to do with people believing in God or gods? Because
Well,
I said yeah.
the reason that ideologies are going to perpetuate is because they serve the interests of the ruling class.
But you don't think people find religion on their own because they want to have a purpose?
People might form weird beliefs, but those kinds of beliefs aren't going to perpetuate. Right?
Well, the beliefs themselves are spreading because you have the, what is it called? Preaching? No, not preaching. What's the word in English? Proselytizing, right? A lot of religions proselytize. Right? So these ideas will be spread without any, higher elite classes having any effect at all.
Yeah, but again, that doesn't really address the question. Right? There are lots of views that are expressed that people want to spread. The question is why are some ideologies perpetuated and others not? And the reason is that some serve the interests of the ruling class, and the ones that do not are suppressed.
Okay, so that's the initial full dialogue in its context, okay? So in that dialogue, CK made two claims. Okay, two spurious claims that I'm going to be disputing. So what I've done now is from that dialogue that you just heard, I'm going to shorten the two claims so that you can hear those two claims individually, which you had just heard in that two previous dialogue. So here are the two claims individually that he made.
Could it not be?
The reason that ideologies are going to perpetuate is because they serve the interests of the ruling class. But again, that doesn't really address the question. Right? There are lots of views that are expressed that people want to spread. The question is why are some ideologies perpetuated and others not? And the reason is that some serve the interests of the ruling class, and the ones that do not are suppressed.
Okay, so that is the breakdown of the two claims that CK made. Okay, so these are going to be the claims that I'm now going to be disputing. Here I come, I enter the room, and then I basically lay forth the entire argument. So here's the entire argument in its context, and then they start disputing it, and then I'll break down the disputes into smaller and smaller. So here's when I come in, what I say in its context completely. Hey, can you hear me? I'm having some really bad lag.
Yeah, I can hear you. very
Hey, I
clearly.
wanted to dispute some of the things that specifically you said, but Jack was saying too historically, about how religion is basically used as a tool of the leading class, and how, if it wasn't effective to whatever goal the leading class was, they would just stamp it out. Well, historically, that couldn't be any more misinformed or inaccurate about Christian history. In fact, for the very, very beginning of Christian history, up until right around the 4th century AD, it was completely persecuted and goes against all of the state. Nero was persecuting Christians anywhere from 63 to 68, like heavily, heavily persecuting Christians. I mean, it was basically going against the state in a lot of ways up until the 4th century, when it became formalized under Constantine. But up until then, that would be absolutely false. So, and they tried as hard as they could to stamp Christianity out for the first 300 years, and it was ineffectual. So to say that the only reason Christianity survives now is because it caters to the whims of the leading class, whatever, that's just false. Christianity bucked the system for 400 years and would continue to do so even today. So to make some accusation like that is just patently false. Couldn't be more false.
Yeah, if we had made that claim, then you are correct. But that wasn't actually.
No, CK made that claim. I have the audio of it. I rewound it.
I
didn't hear anything that resembled my view there.
Okay, so there's where CK's denying it. He says he didn't hear anything that resembled his view there. Well, let's go back and now let's listen to the same claims CK made, and then we'll go back to listen to my characterization of what CK said, and we'll go back to listen to what CK said one more time. You're going to love this.
The question is why are some ideologies perpetuated and others not? And the reason is that some serve the interests of the ruling class, and the ones that do not are suppressed. The reason that ideologies are going to perpetuate is because they serve the interests of the ruling class.
Specifically you said, but Jack was saying too historically, about how religion is basically used as a tool of the leading class, and how, if it wasn't effective to whatever goal the leading class was, they would just stamp it out. Well,
I didn't hear anything that resembled my view there. There's some ideologies perpetuated and others not. And the reason is that some serve the interests of the ruling class, and the ones that do not are suppressed.
Didn't actually make the claim that religion necessarily is sustained by the ruling class, right?
The reason that ideologies are going to perpetuate is because they serve the interests of the ruling class.
Didn't actually make the claim that religion necessarily is sustained by the ruling class, right?
The reason that ideologies are going to perpetuate is because they serve the interests of the ruling class.
yeah, consistent much? Do you remember the things you said 10 minutes previous? I think the tape speaks for itself. Thanks, guys, and I'll catch you later.